I'm at the 26th Annual Meet the Money Conference. I'm here with Tye Turman, Senior VP at Marriott, and wanted to talk to you about your experience here at the conference so far.
Sure.
Yeah. First of all, I wanted to see if you've ever attended before.
Actually, this is my first time, David.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, glad to be here.
We look forward to have you on 2 panels.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've really been looking forward to this. I've heard about Meet the Money for many years and just always had schedule conflicts and unfortunately couldn't make it. So it's a real honor to be here.
We love the fact that it's a small, intimate conference. We hope you are able to get some real activity from the conference, make some good connections.
Me too.
So wanted to talk about 2016, where you think we are in the cycle. Obviously, Marriott's been in the news in a very big way, and I'm sure a lot of what's in the press is you can't speak to at all, so I'll avoid those questions.
Okay.
But in terms of the market cycle, first of all, what sort of initiatives as Marriott are you undertaking in 2016 versus 2015, and where do you think we are in the market cycle?
Gotcha. It's a question everyone's asking right now, David. I think I get phone calls daily from franchisees and various owners asking me, so what's next? Right. Where are we? I think if you ask anyone, everyone's crystal ball is a little bit different. They see the future just a little bit different. From everything that we're hearing right now and what we're witnessing firsthand, in my role, I run the development group for the Western United States for Marriott Select Service and Extended Stay brands. We have noticed that the volume of deals that we're doing is actually, we're surpassing pace of last year, which is really good because there has certainly been some hesitation in the market. The things that we're hearing most frequently, I think, from our owners is financing is tightening down again. Construction costs are through the roof, which prohibits, not necessarily prohibits, but certainly limits the ability to develop. And then thirdly, just cost of acquiring land, because for so long now, many owners are competing with multifamily developers and acquiring land. So I think that's going to have a long-term slowing effect on things, but it has certainly not affected the volume of deals. As far as what we're seeing within existing hotels, right now Marriott's pipeline, we've got, as we just released our first quarter earnings report, we've got 275,000 rooms in our pipeline, 30,000 of which were just within the last quarter. RevPAR projections were not as strong as we had hoped for. We finished, I think, globally at like 2.4% RevPAR growth. Internationally, it was a little bit stronger, and when I say little bit, like by 2.6%. So.
Internationally?
That's among our international hotels, right. RevPAR growth.
Do you think that's heavily focused on Asia, Europe, or
it's a mixture of both. I mean, we've got hotels obviously in the Middle East, Asia, Africa, and such. But so we at least right now we anticipate that RevPAR will at least finish somewhere between 3 to 5% globally for us by the end of the year, which is still good.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in terms of conversions of existing brands to a Marriott brand versus new construction, are you seeing any change in the volume of new construction versus, obviously there's a tremendous brand extension opportunity and brand conversion opportunity with all of the new brands that you guys have announced, but over time, are you seeing any change in new development?
I would say just briefly on the select service, extended stay side of things, even through the growth time periods and also when it slows down, we always tend to see more development on new development versus conversions. We get a number of calls every week from people wanting to convert assets, and quite honestly, most of the time they just don't foot the bill for what we're needing, or they're in markets where we already have brand representation, so it just doesn't work. But majority is new build. We always love the opportunities when they present themselves for great historic assets where you can do an adaptive reuse or things like that. Those come along, not often, but enough to keep it interesting. I would say that, as you may remember, we brought the Delta brand to the United States after we had acquired it from Canada this past year. With that brand now, we are seeing more acquisitions from existing products, which is primarily what we had targeted that brand to do, where you've got great older product that just needs to be repositioned in still very relevant, vibrant markets.
Got it. How does the Delta brand compare to the Autograph by Marriott?
Autograph is a true boutique brand. The hotel itself is the brand versus the name on the building. Whereas Delta, I hate to use this term because it's not necessarily a positive thing, but more of a collector brand, if you will. Sure. We learned a lot from watching Hilton. DoubleTree has been highly successful. Yes. And it's a small industry. If you see something that works, and we've tried that, and so far it's been very good for us.
What about Moxy in terms of how's the public embrace the Moxy brand?
It's been really great and interesting to see. I'll be the first to say, when we decided to bring Moxy to the United States, you may remember from reading the original stories, it was going to be primarily a European brand. When Inter IKEA, our partner who had developed the brand, they were looking for a product very similar to Fairfield Inn & Suites to grow across Europe. And thank goodness for very creative franchise partners here in North America who they said, there is a great opportunity for this in true urban destination markets, such as New York City. Lightstone Group came in, was one of the first to do, they've got, I think, 5 Moxys approved with us in the greater Manhattan, between Manhattan and Brooklyn. All of which, well, I shouldn't say all, most of which are under construction right now. We've opened our first one in Tempe. It was a conversion project. You're always a little leery when your first hotel that's going to open of any brand is a conversion, but it turned out exceptional. The feedback that we're getting from guests so far has been very good, very good. In fact, I just read a comment from a guest just yesterday. The guest wrote it to our brand director for Moxy and said, I was very disappointed with my admin assistant when they first booked me at this hotel. I had no idea what a Moxy was because I'm very brand specific where I like to stay, and I anticipated a negative experience. But in their words, they said, wow, you guys really hit a home run with this one. Love the product. So far we have, I don't want to mislead you on the count, I know we're roughly just over 20 approved in North America. We have kept this product very true to our desire to keep it in urban downtown destinations. Out west, we've got product approved in Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco, San Diego Gas Lamp. We're working on right now one in Portland in the downtown area.
Seems like the perfect setting for
it. It really is, Moxy. And that's where we want to stay with that product. So. Right. In short, been more than pleased with the reception for Moxy.
What about AC as a brand?
AC has just been has skyrocketed.
Yeah, I'm working on 5 ACs right now. So.
Our phones ring off the hook. Yes. Everyone wants. In fact, the challenge is now becoming markets where we can put them. We have over 100 approved in the United States and Canada. We have opened 6 now. We have, by the end of the year, I think we'll be at right around 12 that'll be open. We'll open another 12 to 15 next year. All in great dynamic markets. No 2 AC hotels are alike. And most importantly, right out of the gates, investors, as you know, when they're looking at new brands, there's always this hesitancy. They want to know how they're performing. And the hotels that have been open so far are hitting owners' expectations. Yeah.
Well, your historical performance at Marriott on a brand-wide basis has been so tremendous, I guess. There's trust immediately when you launch a new brand that you'll put the capital behind it and you'll expand it.
Sure, and it's made a big difference.
Well received by the public. Tell me about how owner, franchisor relationships have evolved over time. I know that you guys were very sensitive during the downturn to your owners and allowing for a kinder, gentler PIP and kinder, gentler renovation process when people are having a difficult time. In this market, as financing has been over the past couple of years more available, I know that there's been a real push to upgrade and renovate some of the brands. At this point, do you think most of these projects have evolved? Most of the properties are now compliant with what you would like to see the various brands look like at this point? Over the past 5-6 years, I know it's been a good time to get financing.
Sure. It has been. We certainly still have some hotels out there that we want to see renovated, modernized, go through the big brand changes. When you've got a number of brands, let's just use Courtyard as an example. It was like I believe it was late 2007, early 2008, where we rolled out Courtyard Refreshing Business, which was a total redesign of the lobby public space. We're just now finishing those up, but when you've got as many Courtyards as we have across the United States, Europe, and other continents, it really takes time based upon when hotels have entered the system and such. We are very cautious with PIPs. both when we're looking at when someone's acquiring an asset to potentially convert to one of our brands. We tend to stay very true because we've kind of learned from experience that sometimes conversions are not always your best lifters of the brand, and so we want to make sure we get everything we need in there. But I think on existing hotels, we're looking really good right now, just in general, from how our hotels are positioned. We had years ago, we had some challenges with Fairfield Inn and Suites, really getting them elevated to the level that we wanted to now, and that brand in particular is doing well as a result of very firm PIPs that we put in place.
I will say I recently went to the Residence Inn down the street here at LAX, and it's a conversion, and
Yes.
It is spectacular. I mean,
Yeah.
It looks like a new build, and the finishes are fantastic.
Bob Alter and his team just did fantastic. When they approached us on that project, Bob, we know how difficult it is to find anything around LAX Airport. And he says, I've got this office building, would like to convert it to a Residence Inn, and I think the first words out of our mouth were, how fast? First of all, quality franchisee, very in tune with what it takes to do adaptive reuse, and we couldn't be happier.
That he has a tremendous track record.
That's very, very true.
Yeah, and I was there at the soft opening, and
Yeah.
I don't know how it's sort of evolved over time and how it's been received by the public, but it was spectacular. I'm
Guest
sure.
comments are great.
I'm
The
sure.
Hotels, I think Bob's been pleased with the performance. The one thing that we like in particular about that asset is when you take an office building like that, he actually had too much space, I think. He's still got some space he hasn't figured out what to do with yet. But you got great sized guest rooms, great views overlooking the runways of LAX. You've got wonderful ceiling heights. I think probably the largest exercise room I've seen in most full-service
I didn't
hotels
see it.
he's got in there.
Really?
Yeah, I'd encourage you to go see it if you can. It looks good.
What do you see as brand expansion opportunities in the future? I don't know if, at this point, I know there's discussion of Starwood merger
Sure.
or acquisition, but just in terms of Marriott, where do you see opportunities? I know that several groups like Seidel have been expanding youth hostels and shared rooms. I don't know if that's something that Marriott has looked at, is looking at, and whether that's any sort of component of what
I
you're
would say right now, there could be people that have this brainchild that they're working on right now that we just don't know about. It's interesting you would ask the question because Arne Sorensen, our CEO, was posed this question recently. He was at a hospitality summit in somewhere in the Middle East, and I forgot where it was. May have been Dubai. But he says, do you anticipate ever having additional brands? And he said, I could foresee the day, even with 30 brands potentially here after the acquisition, I could see the day that we would have some additional ones. Not knowing necessarily where they might be, but it seems like someone always creates a new niche that you can potentially find a product for.
Got it. What do you think next year will bring? I mean, do you want to read the tea leaves? Look into your crystal ball?
Again, my crystal ball is no better than anyone else's, but I will say this, I'm very much an optimist. And so I'm hoping that we can kind of keep the momentum going the rest of 2016, maybe through 17 at least. If we can just kind of keep construction cost in check, if financing will stay readily available, at least for great projects, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. Thank you again, by the way, for
Absolutely,
attending
David.
and participating.
It's a real honor.
Thank you so much.
You bet.